Welcome, the anointed ones. Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. In a world addicted to noise and showmanship, there's an unparalleled power in subtlety, where brilliance doesn't shout but whispers loud enough to leave people utterly speechless. Did you know that the most highly intelligent individuals often leave their biggest impressions not with grand gestures, but with their uncanny ability to read a room, dismantle egos, and reshape narratives, all without uttering a word? Now imagine someone so profoundly sharp that even their absence in a conversation feels like a statement. That's not just intelligence, that's artistry. The chosen ones aren't just walking among us. They're redefining what it means to lead, influence, and win, all while operating on a level most can't even fathom. And here's the kicker. They don't just think outside the box. They quietly take the box, redesign it, and sell it back to you at a profit. Subtle, yet loud. Genius, yet grounded. They're the storm you never see coming, and when it hits, you're left questioning everything you thought you knew. Let's dive deeper into what makes these chosen few so extraordinary. Buckle up, this isn't your typical motivational fluff. This is brilliance, dissected. Number 1. Mastery in the art of underestimation. There's something profoundly strategic about being underestimated. It's not a weakness, it's a calculated advantage. When people assume you're less capable or less aware than you actually are, they drop their guard. They reveal more than they intend, show their hand too early, and overestimate their own position. Meanwhile, you quietly observe, absorb, and plan your next move. This isn't manipulation, it's mastery. The art of underestimation lies in your ability to blend in, to exist without drawing unnecessary attention to yourself. You don't feel the need to prove anything because you know exactly what you're capable of. Your silence becomes your power. People assume silence means ignorance or passivity, but in reality, it's where your brilliance sharpens. You analyze what others miss, connect dots they don't even see, and prepare yourself for the moment they least expect. When the time comes to act, you don't just meet expectations, you obliterate them. Your results are so precise, so undeniable that they leave no room for doubt. And the most satisfying part, you didn't need to make any noise to get there. The shock on their faces, the scrambling to recalibrate their perception of you, it's a silent victory, and it's yours alone. What's most extraordinary about this approach is how it naturally filters people. The ones who judge prematurely often disqualify themselves from being in your circle, while those who see beyond appearances become your allies. It's not about playing a role. It's about understanding human nature and using it to your advantage. In a world obsessed with appearances, mastering the art of underestimation gives you a weapon far more potent than bravado: unpredictability. And nothing is more powerful than being underestimated right until the moment you decide it's time to dominate. Number 2, you don't compete, you redefine. You don't compete because competing means playing by someone else's rules, and that's not your style. Competition is a distraction, a game designed to keep everyone focused on beating the next person rather than questioning the system itself. You see it for what it is, a treadmill where people burn energy chasing goals that someone else decided were important. Instead of running with the crowd, you quietly step off the treadmill and start building your own path, one that redefines what success even looks like. The difference is that while others are obsessed with being the best at what already exists, you're creating something entirely new. You're not worried about being first in line because you're busy designing the next frontier. And when others finally catch up to what you've built, you're already 10 steps ahead, working on the next big thing they haven't even thought of yet. This isn't arrogance, it's vision. You don't waste time comparing yourself to others because you're focused on what truly matters: innovation, growth, and impact. Competing is small-minded when you have the power to transform the game itself. It's not about beating others. It's about raising the standard so high that the idea of competition becomes irrelevant. And when people finally notice what you've done, they're left stunned. Not because you won, but because they didn't even realize you were in the game. You weren't loud, you weren't flashy, but you made moves that changed the entire playing field. This is why you don't compete. You create, you elevate, and you leave people wondering how you did it. That's the kind of power that doesn't need validation. It speaks for itself. Number 3, your intelligence is a weapon, not a trophy. Your intelligence isn't something you wear on your sleeve for the world to applaud. It's not a shiny trophy to display or a badge to flaunt in conversations. It's a tool, a weapon, a resource you wield with precision. You don't seek recognition for being smart, because that's not the point. For you, intelligence is about results, solving problems, navigating challenges, and creating outcomes that leave no doubt about your capabilities. The real power of your mind lies in how you use it to see what others don't. Where most people get stuck, you find solutions. You approach situations with a clarity that cuts through the noise, spotting opportunities in chaos and simplicity in complexity. But what sets you apart isn't just your ability to think, it's your ability to act. While others debate, overanalyze, or second-guess themselves, you execute. Quietly, effectively, and without seeking applause. What makes this even more remarkable is how deliberate you are about what you choose to address. You don't waste your energy on trivial matters. Your mind is a filter, focusing only on what truly matters. And when you solve something, you do it so thoroughly that it doesn't just fix the problem, it changes the entire narrative around it. Your intelligence doesn't intimidate, it transforms. It doesn't demand attention, it commands respect. And the most intriguing part, you don't need to explain yourself. Your results speak louder than any explanation ever could. While others spend their energy trying to prove they're the smartest in the room, you're already 5 steps ahead, solving problems they haven't even noticed yet. That's the difference. You don't just have intelligence, you know how to use it. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Number 4, you speak through action, and the noise is deafening. There's a rare power in letting your actions do the talking, and it's one that leaves no room for doubt or debate. You don't waste time making promises, building hype, or trying to convince people of what you can do. You simply get to work. While others are busy filling the air with noise, endless chatter, overblown plans, and empty boasts, you're moving in silence, focused on delivering results. And when those results arrive, they speak louder than any words ever could. What makes this approach so devastatingly effective is its unpredictability. People expect noise before impact. They expect to see the storm coming. But with you, there's no warning. By the time they realize what's happened, the landscape has already shifted. Your accomplishments hit like a shockwave, leaving them scrambling to make sense of how you pulled it off without them noticing. This isn't about arrogance or secrecy, it's about efficiency. Talking is cheap, but action requires discipline, strategy, and focus. You don't seek validation because you understand that results are the ultimate proof. And when you deliver, the silence leading up to it amplifies the impact. It's like thunder after lightning, sudden, powerful, and impossible to ignore. Those who thrive on talk often find themselves disoriented in your presence. They rely on words to mask insecurities, to build their image, to project power. But when confronted with someone whose actions carry more weight than their entire narrative, they falter. Because in the end, the noise they make can't compete with the deafening clarity of what you've accomplished. You're not just moving quietly, you're reshaping the world in the process. And when the dust settles, the only thing left is the undeniable truth of your results. That's a language everyone understands. Number 5, you transcend labels. You exist beyond the limits of labels because you understand that definitions are cages. Titles, identities, and categories may give others a sense of comfort or belonging. But for you, they're restrictions, small boxes that can never hold the full expanse of who you are. While others cling to these labels as a source of validation, you see them for what they are, illusions that keep people tethered to expectations. Your ability to transcend labels comes from an internal understanding of your worth. You don't need a title to define your place in the world or a role to determine your significance. You are fluid, constantly evolving, adapting, and growing in ways that make it impossible for anyone to pin you down. This isn't about being mysterious, it's about refusing to be limited. The most fascinating part of this is how it unnerves people. Society thrives on putting others into neat, manageable categories. It's how the world makes sense of complexity. but when they try to do that with you, they realize you don't fit. You're not just one thing. You're a combination of contradictions, a living paradox that refuses to conform. This fluidity allows you to operate in spaces where others feel confined, to navigate systems that others feel trapped in, and to thrive in areas that others don't even realize exist. When people ask, "What are you?" or "Who are you?" they're often looking for something they can understand, something they can label. But your answer is never static because you aren't static. You're dynamic, unpredictable, and limitless. And while others define themselves by their labels, you're defined by your refusal to be confined by any of them. That's why you lead while they follow. That's why you're unstoppable. Number 6. You are a mirror that exposes insecurities. You don't have to try to expose insecurities. Your presence alone does it. There's something about you that forces people to confront the parts of themselves they'd rather ignore. It's not because you're critical or judgmental. It's because your authenticity, your drive, and your clarity shine a light on their shadows. Without saying a word, you reveal the gap between who they are and who they wish they could be. It's not intentional, and it's certainly not malicious. You're simply being yourself, pushing boundaries and striving for excellence. But when people encounter someone who operates at your level, it can stir something deep within them. For some, it's inspiring, a reminder that they too can aim higher. But for others, it's uncomfortable. Your presence becomes a mirror, reflecting their insecurities, their doubts, and the truths they've tried to bury. What's most striking is how effortless it is for you. You're not trying to compete or prove a point. You're focused on your own growth, your own path, and your own goals. But in doing so, you inadvertently hold up a mirror to the people around you, showing them what they've avoided facing. It's not always well received. Some may project their frustrations onto you, seeing you as a threat or an adversary, when in reality, the battle they're fighting is internal. The power you hold is undeniable. You're not just a person. They see you as a challenge, a benchmark, a reality check. Your light doesn't dim for anyone, and it's that unshakable brilliance that forces them to see their shadows. Whether they choose to grow from it or retreat further into their comfort zones is entirely up to them. But one thing is certain. They'll never forget what they saw in your reflection. Number 7. Your power lies in what you don't say. The power of your presence doesn't come from what you say. It comes from the silence you leave behind. There's a subtle, almost surgical precision to how you withhold information, thoughts, or opinions. It's not avoidance or a lack of confidence. It's strategy. You understand that silence can be far more revealing than words, and the gaps you leave are where people reveal themselves. What unsettles others most is their inability to read you. They're used to deciphering intentions from what people say, but with you, there's nothing to grab onto. The more they try to fill in the blanks, the more they expose their assumptions, biases, and insecurities. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting not your thoughts, but theirs. This isn't manipulation, it's mastery. You know the value of restraint. Saying too much diminishes your leverage. Saying nothing amplifies it. When you speak, it's deliberate, purposeful, and calculated. But when you remain silent, it's equally powerful. It keeps people guessing, questioning, and often overthinking. And in their attempts to make sense of you, they inadvertently lay all their cards on the table. What you withhold isn't just information, it's control. By not revealing everything, you maintain the upper hand. People become obsessed with understanding you, dissecting your motives and anticipating your next move. But the truth is they can't, because your silence isn't a weakness, it's a wall they can't penetrate. In a world where people are quick to overshare, you stand apart. You know the value of mystery, of holding back, of letting your actions do the talking. And in that quiet power, you create an aura that's impossible to ignore and even harder to forget. Number 8. You operate on frequencies others can't access. You don't move through life the way most people do. While others follow routines, rely on surface-level thinking, and react to what's immediately in front of them, you exist on an entirely different plane. Your mind operates on a higher frequency, one that sees connections, patterns, and possibilities others are blind to. It's not just intelligence, it's intuition, foresight, and an innate ability to tune into the deeper layers of reality. Where most people see problems, you see pathways. You're not limited to linear thinking because your thoughts aren't confined to the obvious. You think in webs, in dimensions, in complexities that allow you to see outcomes long before they unfold. It's not just strategy, it's vision. You navigate life like a chessboard, constantly aware of the pieces, the players, and the moves that haven't even been made yet. This ability to access higher frequencies isn't something you flaunt, it's simply how you're wired. It's why you often seem detached from the trivial concerns that consume others. You're not distracted by the noise or the rush to conform because your focus is on something far bigger. This doesn't mean you're disconnected. On the contrary, it means you're deeply connected to yourself, to the energy around you, and to the possibilities others can't even fathom. People don't always understand you, and that's fine. They don't need to. You're not here to follow the same patterns or think the same thoughts as everyone else. Your perspective is rare, and it's why you're able to innovate, adapt, and create solutions that others could never dream of. While the majority function on autopilot, you're driving with a map they've never seen, heading toward destinations they don't even know exist. Number 9. You turn adversity into masterpieces. While most people see failure as a roadblock, you view it as a blank canvas. Adversity doesn't break you, it refines you. Every setback is simply raw material for something greater. You don't mourn failure or run from it, you embrace it, dissect it, and transform it into something extraordinary. What others might consider a dead end, you see as an opportunity to build, evolve, and craft something better than before. You understand that growth doesn't come from success alone. The real lessons, the real strength, emerge from the struggle. Every time you face a challenge, you absorb its lessons like a sponge, turning what could be a crushing defeat into a stepping stone for something even more powerful. The scars you collect along the way don't represent weakness. They are badges of honor, stories of resilience that you wear proudly. What makes you different is your ability to see beyond the immediate pain of adversity. Instead of being consumed by frustration or disappointment, you channel those emotions into creation. It's like taking the shattered pieces of a broken vase and reassembling them into something even more beautiful, more intricate, more unique, more valuable. You use failure as fuel, turning it into art, a masterpiece forged in the fires of your resilience. Where others might retreat, you step forward, knowing that each struggle adds another layer of depth to your work. Every hardship is a brushstroke, every setback a moment in the narrative that makes your story not just one of survival, but of triumph. You don't just move past adversity, you make it a part of your legacy, transforming it into something people can admire, learn from, and aspire to. Number 10. Your influence is invisible, but unavoidable. Your influence isn't something you chase, and it's certainly not something you force. It's magnetic in the most subtle, understated way. You don't seek the spotlight. In fact, you often prefer to operate behind the scenes, quietly laying the foundation for what's to come. Yet somehow, people are drawn to you. They align with your energy, your vision, and the way you move through the world, and often they don't even realize it until much later. That the decisions they've made, the paths they've taken, were shaped by the quiet power of your influence. What makes this kind of influence so potent is that it doesn't rely on force or manipulation. It's not about convincing people to follow you or getting them to see things your way. It's about creating a presence so compelling that others, without even realizing it, begin to mirror your values, your direction, and your goals. Your energy speaks louder than any words could. People may not understand why they feel compelled to align with you, but they do. Whether it's the way you move through challenges, the clarity of your purpose, or the confidence you exude without boasting, something about you draws them in. Over time, they begin to see that the choices they've made were, in a sense, influenced by your example, by the quiet ripple effect of your vision. It's the kind of influence that doesn't ask for recognition, but earns it through results. It's invisible, but undeniable. And though others may not see it while it's happening, your impact lingers, shaping the trajectory of those around you in ways they may only realize long after the fact. That's the true power of influence. It's not about being seen, it's about making your presence felt in ways that are impossible to ignore. Number 11. You challenge the comfort zones of those around you. You don't have to try to challenge people. Simply being yourself does the job. Your presence disrupts the routines and comfort zones of those around you, forcing them to confront the limitations they've placed on themselves. It's not something you do intentionally, but there's something about your energy that stirs them. When people see you moving through life with conviction, breaking barriers, and living on your own terms, it forces them to question their own choices, their own boundaries. You're not loud, you're not pushing people to change, you're just living authentically. But that authenticity acts as a mirror, and suddenly they can't ignore the fact that they've been operating in a bubble of self-imposed restrictions. You don't preach growth, you embody it. And when people witness that, it's impossible for them to remain comfortable in their old habits. At first, it may unsettle them. Change often does. The unfamiliarity of your path, the courage with which you navigate life, creates a ripple effect that shakes them from their complacency. They might resist, feel threatened, or become defensive, but deep down, your presence is planting seeds of growth, seeds that will eventually sprout, whether they realize it or not. What you do without effort is provoke thought, create self-awareness, and push others to stretch beyond the familiar. You challenge the norm, not by opposing it, but by simply being someone who refuses to be limited by it. The beauty of this is that it doesn't require conflict. It just requires you to be unapologetically you. And in doing so, you give others the courage to question their own boundaries, planting the seeds for their own growth. Number 12. You are the storm that restores balance. When you enter a room or step into a situation, it's like the calm before a storm. A presence that doesn't bring chaos, but correction. People may mistake your force for disruption, but in truth, you are restoring balance. You see inefficiency, stagnation, and outdated systems, and rather than quietly accept them, you ignite a shift. Your impact is immediate and undeniable, but it's not reckless. It's purposeful. You don't stir the waters for the sake of it. You do it because those waters need to move. The systems around you that were once stuck in their routines or mired in inefficiency begin to unravel as you bring clarity, momentum, and new energy. Where others see obstacles, you see opportunities to streamline, to enhance, to elevate. The status quo might feel threatened by your approach, but deep down, they know it's necessary. Your presence forces things into motion, turning stagnant practices into engines of progress. This isn't about control, it's about alignment. You're not here to break things just to watch them fall apart. You're here to recalibrate, to fix what's been broken, to shake off the complacency that's been holding everyone back. You understand that change isn't always easy, and sometimes it feels like a storm. But storms, when they pass, bring fresh air and a renewed sense of direction. What makes you unique is your ability to disrupt without causing harm. You don't destroy, you reconstruct. You don't leave chaos in your wake, but rather a pathway forward. People may resist the force of your presence at first, but in time they'll see that it was exactly what they needed to restore balance and set things right. Your impact is not just a momentary disruption, it's the beginning of something new, something better, something with purpose. Number 13. Your legacy is built in the shadows. You don't seek the spotlight. In fact, you prefer to operate in the shadows, quietly laying the groundwork for your legacy. While others chase fame, recognition, or validation, you understand that true impact isn't measured by the noise you make, but by the foundation you build. The work you put in behind the scenes is where the real magic happens. It's in these quiet moments of creation, of strategy, of relentless focus, that you shape something far greater than mere recognition. The world may not always see the effort you pour into your projects, the sacrifices you make, or the obstacles you overcome. And that's perfectly fine with you. You don't need their applause to keep moving forward because you know that your legacy isn't about a single moment in the spotlight. It's about the long-term impact of what you've built. While others are distracted by the instant gratification of attention, you're already creating the next masterpiece, always looking beyond the immediate. This is what sets you apart. You understand that the most powerful legacies are the ones that endure long after the applause fades. Your work speaks for itself, and while people may not see its significance in the moment, they will feel its impact for years to come. You've learned that true success isn't about being seen, it's about making a difference, even when no one is watching. So while others scramble to secure their place in the limelight, you're already moving forward, quietly constructing your next big thing. And when the world finally catches up, they'll realize they've been following in your footsteps all along. By the time the loudest applause arrives, you'll be on to your next creation, your next masterpiece, already shaping the future. In a world obsessed with noise, validation, and the immediate rewards of visibility, you stand apart as a quiet force of nature. Your power doesn't lie in being seen or heard. It lies in the depth of your actions, your ability to navigate life with precision, and your unwavering commitment to creating something meaningful. You don't chase recognition, yet you command attention without effort. Your presence shifts the landscape in ways that others can't even fathom, and your influence is felt long after you've moved on to the next chapter. You are the storm that restores balance, the mirror that exposes truths, and the legacy built in the shadows. Each step you take, each move you make, is a reflection of your profound understanding that greatness doesn't come from external validation. It comes from within, from the quiet determination to make an impact that transcends time. While the world may search for quick fixes and superficial achievements, you operate on a different level. You challenge the norm, reshape what's possible, and transform adversity into triumph. You are a living example that true power is not in the noise or the applause. It's in the silent, deliberate, and purposeful way you move through the world. So keep walking your path. Keep building in the background. Keep turning adversity into masterpieces and influencing the world without saying a word. Because in the end, the quietest legacies are often the most lasting, and the most powerful stories are the ones that are told without uttering a single phrase. Your greatness will speak for itself, and when it does, it will be impossible to ignore. If you've been captivated by this journey of true power and impact, then don't let it end here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on the next powerful insight. Hit that like button to show that you're ready to operate at a higher level, and drop a comment below. Share your thoughts, your experiences, or what resonates with you. I'd love to hear how you too are shaping your legacy in the background, turning adversity into your masterpiece. And if you know someone who could benefit from this, don't hesitate to share it with them. Let's spread the message that greatness doesn't need to be loud to be felt. Together, we'll keep building, growing, and inspiring each other in ways that go far beyond what's visible. So, subscribe, like, comment, and share. And let's keep this momentum going. Your legacy is just beginning. God bless you.